everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of my Become Unstoppable series. So those who don't know me, I'm Julie Fitzpatrick. I'm the founder of Milliside Therapy and Coaching, and I support individuals to unlock their true potential so that they can become unstoppable. So we have got an amazing guest today called Kerry Hutton. Kerry knows many thing or two about the menopause and the perimenopause, and we're going to bring her up. We're going to try and get... Hello!
Oh, finally!
Yay! Welcome. Yes, so thank you for joining me today on my Become Unstoppable series. But before we get on with the interview, what I want to do is just let you introduce yourself, and then obviously I'll ask you my very special question. Okay. But would you like to let everybody know who you are and what it is you do, my love?
Okay, so my name's Kerry Hutton, and I am the founder of Portsmouth Menopause Support Group with over 1,000 women, ladies in. And also I've just started up the South Coast Menopause Group, support group. And I'm a co-founder of Hutton's Menopause Supplement, which is a supplement to help women going from peri to post-menopause.
Wow. Fantastic. And obviously we'll talk about that in a little while, but that's brilliant. So thank you for that amazing introduction. But before we get into any of that, I need to ask you my very special question. So Kerry, what does being unstoppable mean to you?
Unstoppable for me is a whole range of different things, gauging from day to day. As a whole, unstoppable is to make sure you wake up every morning and you do your daily tasks. And as much as I know myself, it's very hard to do, in especially the modern life that we live in, to get everything that you want to fit in. But just managing, like, to get through some of those tasks, or some days for me it means getting out of bed, brushing my teeth, and maybe ticking off about 3 things on my to-do list. I think society as a whole today, becoming unstoppable, you do strive to want to do more, and sometimes it becomes so overwhelming. So myself going through the menopause transition, being overwhelmed by day-to-day the day-to-day needs that you have to do, just the stuff you have to do, let alone your projects and everything else. But I mean, you need to take time out for yourself as well.
You do. Yeah. You are right though, because I think we live in such a heightened alert state all the time, don't we now?
Definitely.
You know, we're constantly on our social media. We're constantly got a billion things to do, especially if you're a parent as well. You're juggling potentially your children, your job maybe, or even caring for people. Exactly. You know, quite a lot of our generation now caring for their parents, aren't they? So,
well, they call it the sandwich generation, because as much as we might have, like some women have children still, or children that's still living at home, so they have all that parental things that have to do, but their parents are now becoming elderly. So we're in our generation is actually a sandwich generation, where we're looking after these children, or even near enough adults that can't afford to move out or at university, as well as looking after our elderly parents. So this is the first generation of the sandwich generation.
That's good. I like that. Yeah, because that is so true. And throw in a little bit of, you know, COVID, throw in like the cost of living and everything else, it can definitely feel overwhelming, can't it?
Yeah.
So tell me, Kerry, what made you set these groups up in the first place?
So, as it goes, I was 36 with a previous partner, trying for a child, and unfortunately it didn't actually come about, and we didn't know why, so we got some specialist help. And that was at the age of 37. They explained to me that I was perimenopause.
Oh, wow.
And I had 2% chance of giving birth, well, having a child. That absolutely was like a bomb. my world.
Wow. Yeah.
At the time, all my friends were having children, so it was a real shocker. And as much as I went out and I spent thousands of pounds on different remedies, anything that came up on Facebook, anything like this, I was just grabbing my hands on and I hoped that I could get my reproductive system back on track. It didn't happen, and it caused the breakdown of the relationship. At the time, I was a beauty therapist. So I was I had a room in the house, so I moved out and I managed to get into a salon. I mean, at that time, I could have been unstoppable because the breakdown of the relationship, I had to keep working, but I had to find a salon. So I had managed to find a salon to carry on going. And I decided that I was going to have, at the time, my unstoppable at that time was I was going to have it on my own. I was going to go abroad and maybe get an embryo and donation to be able to have a child. But the summer come along, and all that summer I managed to start finding myself again, and I worked really hard, and you know, I started to realise by the end of that summer, I realised, you know, not having a child is everything. The situation you're in, it's not everything, you know, and spending all that money, where are you going to live afterwards? Because I was living back with my parents, and yeah, I fell in love with a friend of mine and never looked back since. But then I realised I had to change my path of thought. You know, so that is where it went from, okay, I'm not going to have children, you've got to accept that. And I think that once you actually accept something like that, once you can actually get that in your brain that it's not going to happen, but you have to find a way of channeling it in a different direction. And I think me, for myself, starting the journey of looking and researching into menopause and seeing so many women, not realizing at the time, but seeing so many people around in my area and talking to them, because I was so alone at the beginning. But when I moved into the salon, I was talking to women about menopause, and they were responding as before no one was, because I was just in my group. So that made me think, wow, I'm not on my own. And hearing their stories and me doing my research, then I started giving them some advice. And I thought, there's more to this. I've got to, the reason, there's a bigger reason for where I am now. And that pushed me into opening Portsmouth Menopause Support Group, the beginning one.
Wow. I mean, a couple of things on that. I mean, to find out at such a young age, point one, that you're going through the menopause is enough of a shock, isn't it? But obviously putting the carb wash on, having a family, which is what you wanted, was like a double whammy, wasn't it? And then you're going through that whole grief cycle then, aren't you, of, you know, because it's a loss. Although you've never had it, it's a loss that you're not going to have, isn't it? You know? And it's that I can only imagine that would have been devastating. But it's that thing when you get told that you can't have something, you want it all the more naturally anyway, don't you?
Yeah. And it's that body, and it's not only that, it's like realising that choice has been taken out your hands for natural reasons. It's been taken out your hands, and then you've got the whole hormones to deal with, as well as trying to deal with the grief of something. Your hormones are going crazy.
It was not to mention the impact on your mental health as well, isn't it? But by going through all of that,
my mental health took a real big shock. I mean, I was probably drinking way too much at the time. It was the summertime. I'd been in a relationship for over 7 years, and I think a good 6 months I really decided that I was going to go out and I'm going to enjoy myself, and I think it sort of somehow helped me get over the grieving process. But also I was working really hard, obviously, you know, so I was in a different environment. I was talking to different people than I was when I was in my relationship. So I started to realise that I wasn't on my own, and I wasn't. Things can move on from where you are.
Okay, so you've gone through that trauma, which is what it is, okay, and you've decided that you're going to positively direct all of that into helping other people by setting up the group. I mean, did you find that there were a lot of people that were in the early stages, like yourself, of the perimenopause?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's so many people. I mean, where I'm from, there's a lot of women. There's, it's it's a big city, but it's very small community. People know each other, and I think me talking out about my experiences in setting up the menopause group and having the local newspaper talking to me and things like that, I think in some ways allowed people around the area to be able to come forward and say, yes, I am also. And I was like, I didn't know that. But you never know. You don't know what perimenopause is by face value.
No.
It's not, you don't know. And then people talking to me and calling me and asking me, these are my symptoms. Do you think I'm going through it? How can I get a doctor's appointment? How can I talk to the doctors? I'm going out of my mind. I'm getting women that I know for a long time crying on the phone, just thinking that they're absolutely going crazy. And that's how you do feel sometimes.
You do. Yeah. And I think luckily now it's starting to come out a lot more, isn't it? Like your Davina McCalls and, these high profile presenters. BBC Breakfast did a lot on it, didn't they? And Mariella Fostrop, those type of people are really putting it out there, and it is definitely, you do see a lot more of it now.
Yeah.
However, there's still a lot of people who aren't aware of it, and I work with a lot of women. I call it become unstoppable in the prime of your life, right? Because so many women, like you say, are suffering, but they don't know what's wrong with them.
No.
I've had it myself, like brain fog, heart palpitations, hair loss. But it was, for me, it was the whole raised up anxiety. And I never really suffered from anxiety at all before. But all of a sudden I'm at work and I'm like, I can't even string a sentence together. I'm sitting at my desk thinking, I don't even know what bit of paper to pick up next.
Yeah.
I'm sitting in meetings with people that I've worked with for years and I can't remember their names.
Yeah.
It's just embarrassing.
I know. I think also, I mean, as much as there's a lot more information out there now, there's still that feeling, because no menopause is the same, there's still that feeling of having the you still feel you're young, and then all of a sudden there's mention the word menopause and women are like, oh my god, I'm not going through menopause, I'm too young.
It's as bad as no one wants to get word, isn't it?
Yeah. no one wants to have dry vaginas. Nobody wants to hear all the bad stuff, but actually that bad stuff does go away, and there is a better future behind it. It is a natural cycle. And unfortunately, it is a time of life that none of us can run away from. You can have all the Botox in the world, it's not going to get you away from that.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's a good point, really, because like it's not just the hormone stuff, is it? It's like all of a sudden, like you're waking up, looking at yourself in the mirror, and going, "Who is that person?
Yeah.
What's happened?" Because you feel like sometimes it just happens overnight, don't you?
Yeah.
And it's like, you're at that stage as well where you don't really know whether you're old, whether you're young, because you're in that middle ground, aren't you? And it's like,
you don't feel that you should be there, because I mean, my nan, she was 97 years of age, 88 years of age, and I remember her saying to me, in my head I still think that I'm 25. It's just everywhere else, and I think we all think that. So in our head, having to actually accept that must be it's a real battle for some women, including myself.
Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, I didn't have children, but I mean, I've got lots of great nieces to make up for it. But I didn't have children, but I still still feel too young. And last night I was actually laying in bed. This would be a good one. I was laying in bed last night. I thought, no, actually, it was today when I was driving up to Gatwick. And I'm telling you, it was. And I heard, I was thinking about it. I was thinking, I'm nearly 40. I'm 47 next month. Realistically, I am old enough to have a 30-year-old child. And that has just blown my mind. For the last few hours, I cannot believe that I could possibly have had, by now, realistically, a 30-year-old child. It just doesn't seem right. No way.
I know, it is a funny old thing, isn't it? But I found, for me, it was my hormones, and it was my snappiness, and it's the impact as well that it has on your family, isn't it? And
massively.
Your work colleagues and everything else. And my husband I always say, it's all right for you, you don't have to go through it. And go, yeah, we do, because we have to put up with all you women who go through it. So yes,
it's hard.
It's hard. And I can remember just like flying off the handle and like going, I didn't even know what was happening. And that was like really scary.
Did you find the guilt as well? It's the guilt afterwards.
Yeah, the guilt after. And then like, I don't understand myself, so I don't know why men try to understand us, because we don't even understand it ourselves, do we?
No.
But what I want to ask you, actually, what would you say would be the most common symptoms, if you like, that your women in your group raise as part of their issues?
Apart from the main, like the average symptoms of hot flushes and things like that, there's a hell of a lot of mental health. The anxiety. Some women, they don't drive out of town anymore because the anxiety is too great. Breakdown of relationships, suicidal thoughts, feeling that they've got dementia, just mental health. I see so many women from perimenopause starting to actually seek help, because maybe childhood traumas also can be massively evaluated, like come up so much more when you become perimenopause. To actually strive through a nice, calm menopause state, if there is one, as much as you can. If you're in flight and fight mode, or if you have any childhood traumas that you haven't dealt with, that all is related, includes, you know.
Absolutely.
And I feel that we all have trauma, must have, in one way or another, whether it be your dog dying or anything, you know. Trauma is down to the individual, I believe, is what totally agree. It's just so sad when I'm getting women on the phone, because I'm always on the phone. Anyone that needs help, I'll be there. And it's really, and I think since COVID's probably got worse, I really do. I mean, I think COVID's really highlighted a lot of things where people have been sat there and had a lot more time out of society to be able to think about things. And that has probably brought a lot to the surface.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. And a lot of the women that come to me, they're really genuinely struggling with managing in their stress for a start. And then that stress turns into overwhelm, and that obviously heightens the anxiety. And you're just getting more anxious and more anxious. Then you getting more stress, and then in turn you become less confident. You've lost your confidence. You don't know who you are anymore, and then it just spirals down. And when they come to work with me, like you say, what I work with is uncovering their limiting beliefs, right? And like you say, when there's been childhood trauma or anything like that that's happened, that all resonates even more at this time, because it's been building up. But one of the other things I've noticed as well is a lot of it manifests into physical conditions as well. So many of the women that work with me, we free them of some physical conditions. I've helped someone walk again. I've helped with arthritis, autoimmune diseases, skin conditions.
Autoimmune diseases is massive. And
the other thing is, I had a client once as well who she well, she got told she had, you name it, all different autoimmune diseases, and she actually watched, I think it was one of Davina's programs. When she looked at all the symptoms that she had, she went, actually, they're all the symptoms I've got. So she didn't actually have an autoimmune disease. It was the symptoms of the menopause.
Yeah. And the thing is, the autoimmune disease, what it does, it's your thyroid problems. It could be your thyroid problems. So what it does, it mimics the same as autoimmune disease. So if people are not, if professionals are not checking for that, going through the perimenopause, that's what it's mimicking.
Yeah. And the other issue we've got, and I hope it's getting better, that many doctors don't have hardly any training, do they, on the menopause, right? So they're prescribing antidepressants.
Yeah.
But it's not necessarily depression, is it?
No, I mean, there is an antidepressant that some is good for menopause, perimenopause. So it works for some people, but it's not. It just helps. It helps just level them out. But on a whole, I think the best option is body identical HRT. That's if the woman could take HRT, if they're, through their history, health histories, or their family histories, it could be totally different.
And I think it's important that as women we take responsibility as well for our own health and well-being. Okay, so it's all very well blaming everything on the menopause, which absolutely we can blame a lot on it, but we can help ourselves, right? Because we can help ourselves by learning how to manage our stress and overwhelm.
Yeah.
And we can, when my clients come and work with me, I teach them all strategies, like different breathing techniques, different ways of understanding what's going on for them in their body, as well as the deep-rooted therapy. But we need to make sure that we're feeding ourselves correctly. We're eating the right types of food. Yeah. We need to make sure we're doing our gentle exercise. It's that whole holistic point of view, isn't it? So,
I mean,
and the hormones.
Sorry. I totally agree with you. I mean, strengthening exercises, less cardio, more strength, more yoga, more of a colourful plate. On your plate, you should have more of a Mediterranean diet. Cut out the sugar. Sugar is it's not good, and you really have. If there's any time to look after yourself, I recommend to start in perimenopause, because that will help you going through the later time in life.
Yeah.
It is so important. It did take me a couple of years, because I was 37 and I was in denial, and I was still thinking I was really fighting for a child. But then coming into just my 40s, well, before my 40s, no, just after my 40s, beginning of my 40s, I realised that, okay, my transition decided to change, my brain transition decided to change, and I had to accept that. I mean, who knows? I mean, sometimes I do think, what if? But at the end of the day, I wouldn't be where I am now, and I believe that I'm in a good place at the moment to be able to help women, But you do have to look after yourself, and as much as we all like to overindulge in some things, it's all about keeping a nice diet. Yeah, I'm not saying don't be a give up wine and everything else forever, but just be a bit more moderating about what you're drinking, what you're doing. It's the sugar, it's the high carbs. We don't move as much as we used to.
No.
A lot of us are sitting in front of computers all the time.
Yeah, that's me for sure. I mean, going back to slightly what you were saying just now, actually, about looking after yourselves, and that is so key as well. It is about making sure that we are the number one. And I know that feels difficult when you've got maybe children and people looking after you. That's the last thing you're thinking about. But you do have to look after yourself first, because otherwise you're no good to anybody else, right?
Self-care.
So exactly. And this is what I tell my clients all the time before we even talk about their issues, right? It's, what's your self-care like? And I always say, I don't mean do you go and wash your hair every day. Do you meditate? Do you take time? No, I don't do any of that. And I didn't either, in all fairness. I've only introduced that into my life in the last couple of years. But it's about putting yourself first, and then you can go on to help other people. The old plainy analogy, put your mask on. is so, so true. And
Yeah, I think you taught me that one. I think we had a conversation before actually, and you actually said, don't forget when you get onto a plane, you know, in a plane situation, you put your mask on before helping everybody else. And actually, that saying always sticks with me now. It really does, especially
oh,
when
good.
I'm having a bit of a struggling time, and I need to take a step back and think, hang on a minute. Let's think about here. But that one always comes to me, and I think that's a really good quote.
And I think, you know, if people, just as a quick tip actually for anyone out there who is in that moment, whatever you're doing and you feel yourself getting stressed and overwhelmed, right, just stop, right, just stop and then breathe. I recommend 6-6 coherent breathing in for 6 and out for 6 through your nose, but you can do that for 4 seconds, you can do box 4, doesn't matter. Just basically change your state. And by state, I mean change the mode. Just stop and just shake yourself, dance, do anything, just to change that
movement,
moment.
change that motion, change that music.
And then
if you've got sad music, change the music, do anything, isn't it?
Yeah, turn the music up and have a dance, the dopamine dance, you know, because you get that hit of dopamine then, which is obviously a good thing. But yeah, so it's about really maintaining your own self-care first.
Yeah.
And I've been looking into, it's another whole world actually, about intermittent fasting, because by all accounts, women need to intermittent fast to follow their cycle.
Okay, so yes, I've recently have been looking at intermittent fasting because I do have a yeast and wheat allergy. So I've been looking into it to do eventually build up to a fast to recreate my gut bacteria. So yeah, I mean, to follow my cycle at the moment, it's just impossible because I'm still perimenopause, but I'm getting there. It's slowly. I can see the changes are all creeping in. So actually, I still am struggling myself, and some days I can't get out of bed, or some days I'm motivated because my hormones are changing now to where I've been. So obviously my HRTs I have to manage my HRT differently, my whole life differently. Yeah. So, but yeah, I have been looking into that. So I am sort of actually interested. We could do another podcast on that another time. I'd be interested.
Yeah, and I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but I will put it in when we post this, because she's a brilliant lady, and there's another lady who is called the Glucose Goddess as well.
Okay.
So I'll put both of those links in, because they're really, really good, really interesting. So I've never really suffered from my weight. I've gradually put weight on over the years, but the last, I don't know, 6 months, it's like every time I get on my scales, I'm just going up, even if I wasn't doing anything different. And it's like, wow. But that's not nice.
It's not nice, and that affects your mood. That affects the way you think. It affects everything. I mean, especially for a woman, I feel that most women, that is sort of a part of women. Men don't really think about well, they do take time out and think about it, but it's more of a feminine issue, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think if someone is already overweight anyway before they hit the menopause, then that's tough.
Yeah.
So you really want to be looking at all of that any time in your life anyway, don't you? Like being healthy, your self-care, looking at your diet and things like that.
But it's hard. It's
hard.
When
you hit,
it's
going to get harder, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's a progression. It just goes round in circles. You're overweight. You know, I just feel so sorry. I feel for them, but yeah, they do need to start now because for a better future. It's not, you know, we're all struggling, but it's becoming bigger and bigger for everybody.
So, Kerry, how did you end up creating your own supplements then?
Okay, so I accepted the fact that I'm perimenopause. I accepted that I wasn't going to have a child and have this dream life that I initially thought in my head. And I went to a store to get supplements to help myself before I went on HRT, which it should have been offered to me previously, but never was. And asked what I should be taking for perimenopause. The first thing they said is, just, who's it for? You're not going through the perimenopause. I was like, well, A, that's a judgment that you shouldn't be making. It's for myself. Well, you have this, and so how much of that should I be taking a day? No answer, but I should be taking this, and this. So going back to the time when I was trying for a baby and I had supplements lined up like by the kettle, that's, you know, ridiculous. I just felt this real bad fear of, I felt like I was going back into that. Because they're asking me to take 7 supplements a day. That was making me near sick on a daily basis, you know? 7 supplements. And now I'm thinking, now I'm a little bit older, a little bit wiser, I'm thinking about the environment. That's 7 different supplements. All them pots, you know? It just feared me. It just absolutely I had the fear in me. But I tried to take as much as I could. And due to the fact that I have chronic back pain, I have a couple of discs missing in my back. I was on painkillers for about 7 years, and they wanted to keep me on them for the rest of my life, as well as, you know, the codeine and things like that, which is not good for you. I started taking CBD oil, and I managed to wean myself off all of those.
Wow.
Which is, it took a while. My partner now, bless him, he, you know, he was the one that suggested it, and I've managed to wean myself off them all, and it was a real struggle. But the CBD, now I'm walking about, okay, I don't have a relapse of 5 days in bed. I might be in bed, well, I don't stay in bed. I refuse to stay in bed if it's back pain. I try and get back up and work, do exercises through it. So I'm on the CBD oil, and then with these menopause situation, with all these supplements, I said, there's got to be a better way. I can't take these. And so many women must be thinking the same thing. So trying to get the CBD oil and these supplements, some of the vitamin supplements, into one supplement. Why don't we do that? You can't do that. Why can't I do that? There's other people that've got supplements out there, these businesses. Yeah, but I'm just little Kerry, and Michael, who's helping, you know, my partner. You can't do that. But why can't I do that? You know, I'm going to different places, speaking to science labs, and getting a knockback, and people won't create it for you. They want thousands and thousands, well, stupid amount of thousands of pounds. So that made me go forward. I was not going to give
that knockback made you go, right, that's it. I'm digging my heels in. I'm going to go and do this. No one puts Kerry in the corner.
I sat on a boat. We have a sailing boat, and I sat down there for the best part of 18 months. And yeah, the supplement, eventually, after a lot of calls or a lot of knocks, but I was using, why can these people do it and I can't? Couldn't quite understand. The only thing that's stopping me from bringing out my supplement to them bringing out their supplement was the thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds they're investing.
So how did you get around that then?
It's not thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds. You just need to make sure you've got the right product, the correct product. I wanted to make sure the product, especially the CBD, was made correctly, was made in Europe. I wanted it to be created and made in the UK. So all those boundaries were quite strong, and it had to be, you know, tried and tested, and we managed to finally get it worked out. And once we signed, sealed, delivered the deal, that was pretty mind blown.
Wow. So you were pretty unstoppable then, weren't you?
I certainly was, yeah. That was a bit of an unstoppable, but then at the same time, it was quite a lonely place to be at the time. It was very lonely. Being on my own, not spending a lot of time with my friends, not talking to a lot of people. My partner, Michael, was working all hours at the shop, and I was just sat down there, just trying to, you know, work through this. It was a lonely time. It did get me down, I must admit. It did get me down at times. And yeah, here we are now, trying to get the product out there to the whole of the UK and making people fully aware of, you know, that it's not like a massive company. We're not in pharma. We're doing it for the best because I've done it for me. So if it works for me, I'm trying to help other women.
Okay, so I think that's a pretty amazing, awesome story for point number one. But what if anyone's interested in trying them? What was your aim? What results would you expect them to achieve by taking your supplement?
My main aims were joint ache for a start, definitely. Anxiety, massive anxiety. I couldn't ride my bike. I was too scared to walk across the road because I had this fear of getting run over by a bus. Perimenopause symptoms, you know, not the bus situation, but the anxiety. Depression, bit of depression, mood swings. Sleep, geez. You know, not being able to sleep. That is, I used to like sleeping 10 hours a day, 10 hours, you know, through the night. And that'd been quite right. And if I slept 6 hours, I'd be ratty as hell. So now it's reduced as I'm getting older. But, you know, no one wants to go without sleep. And
no, that's my big issue now.
Oh gosh. And I think it's all women. What women likes to have 4 hours sleep? Not many. You know, or broken sleep. This will just help you calm you down. It calms you down. If you've got anxiety and things like that, I just needed all these, like magnesium, for instance. It helps in so many ways. Vitamin B6 is massive. It helps with your gut and things like that. So I try to interpret all the things that I needed, or the main symptoms that people were suffering from through the menopause, because I did do a few polls. I did some questionnaires on my groups, and to make sure that I created the right amount and the right one.
And are you getting good results from it now?
Yes, we are. I mean, amazing. One lady, she said to me the other day, you know, I can feel, I've been on 3 weeks, I can feel it already, and you never guess what, even my husband notices the difference. He doesn't even notice when my hair's cut.
Oh, bless.
So, I mean, that's just one. We've had so many different really good responses. People are sleeping better, their anxiety levels are better. One lady, she couldn't drive her car. She's got 8 and 9-year-old, and where she lives, it's not local, it's further up north. There's a lot of motorways she needs to get on the motorways to get to see her family, and she just couldn't do it. And she tried them for near enough 4 weeks. I think because it depends on some people. You need to get them in your system. I recommend 3 months to anyone. But after 4 weeks, she said she had managed to build the anxiety lowered so much that she managed to get in the car and drive to see her nan with the kids. Wow. And that was, doing that makes you feel good.
It does.
Being able to create something that to get somebody to do that is great.
Oh, well done. That's amazing. I mean, I take vitamins, but maybe I should just try yours instead, because I don't sleep very well. I've got hypnosis that I do on myself to do that, but it's like sometimes I can't get to sleep. Other times I'll go to sleep for a couple of hours and I'll wake up. It's getting up to go to the loo all the time. That's the...
Yeah, so that comes down to what time you finish drinking your last cup of tea or water or anything like that. You have to sort of like try and work out the happy medium of trying to get a good 5-6 hours sleep of when you're going to, you know, from when you drink to when, if you can get that, then try and stick to that. But yeah, and also I mean, for me, I'm always up, especially this time of year. I wake up in the middle of the night and I down half a pint to a pint or 2 pints of water. I do it all the time. I do drink a lot of water, but in the winter I probably won't do, you know. But I think it's really important, you know, just to try and get as much sleep as possible. But these supplements really do help, and they're helping women everywhere. And there's so many good responses. It's great.
And what we'll do is when we put the video out, you're going to send me the link to your website. Is that where they get them from?
It's Huttonshealth. Oh God, www. There we go, a little brain fog there. www.huttonshealth.com.
Okay.
and it's all there. The delivery service is really good. Other than that, we do have a few outlets in Portsmouth, which is we have Herbie's in Portsmouth, which is a health shop. So that's really good too.
Oh wow! So your plan is to get them your next mission then is just to get them known about then. So
for sure, I just want it, everybody more so further afield, because we're down in the South Coast. Let's just get the word out there and give them a try. But some people, I know it's hard to actually take a supplement. Some women don't even take supplements, But to give this one supplement, it's not taking loads. It's vegan friendly, and it's just one supplement a day, and it's about an hour before you go to bed. One supplement. Changes will happen, and you do feel them.
Brilliant. I think it's amazing what you've done, and I feel that anyone listening to this will, take you into their heart anyway, by the fact that, you went into the perimenopause at such an early age, and, that potentially stopped you from doing what you wanted to do and have a family. But to take that, I don't know, it's not the anger, is it? It's to take that, I suppose it was a little bit of anger in a way, wasn't it? But,
sadness.
Yeah.
Your whole life, your vision of your whole life has just come to a dead end. Including the breakup, and you had to change everything, and then moving it around. Okay. It took, don't get me wrong, it did take about 6 months of me probably going off the rails and having a few partying a bit too much, and but I still worked really hard. And at the same time, those days that I was in there during the day, I was working during the week, I realised that there was more women out there, and I wasn't alone. And it is really important to talk. You must talk.
And and thank you for coming on today, because we've known each other for a little while now, but we'd lost contact, but we reconnected recently, didn't we? And I just think the timing's right again now, isn't it? The timing's right for you now to get this out there. And I hope that once we repurpose this video on my YouTube channel as well, we can get it put into your menopausal groups to get the message out. But also from my point of view, my passion is also, like you, is supporting women in the prime of their lives so that they can unlock all these limiting beliefs and start living their lives. Because it doesn't, I didn't start my business until 2 years ago when I was 52.
I know, and it's never too late.
It's never too late. I worked in the corporate world for 35 years, and I just thought, I'm done with this now. And I think that's important as well, actually. The fact that when you get to that kind of age, it's almost like that midlife crisis mode again. And you might have already had one at 30, maybe 40.
Well, I wasn't ready to accept it then.
When you hit the 50s, like you were saying earlier about you look older and your body starts letting you down a little bit more. But in your head, you're still young, aren't you? Yeah. You're still, I can't get my head around my age either. But the important thing is it is but a number, and we can all do anything we want to do, and we can change. Yeah. Our minds aren't set. Mindset is not a thing. No. Neuroplasticity, science has proven now that we can actually change our neuro pathways continually and grow them at any age. So don't give up. So anyone here who is interested in finding out more about Kerry supplements, or wants to join any of your groups, because you don't have to live in Portsmouth, do you, to join your groups?
No, I mean, to be honest, Portsmouth, this is why I opened up South Coast one, but to be honest, we've been getting people from all over the country joining Portsmouth Menopause Support Group. We do have specialist speakers come in, and we used to do face-to-face, but I used to record them, but we were struggling to get bums on chairs. So I will be rebuilding that and doing maybe Zooms and posting them back out there. But these are professionals that talk about your hormones, talk about your diets, talk about the scientific ways and the mental health and everything to do with the menopause, and to help you understand and moving forward, in your own journey.
Brilliant. And that's fantastic. And we'll obviously stay in touch. But anyone out there who knows they're suffering, even if you're not in the perimenopause or menopause either, but anyone that's really suffering with lack of confidence, their anxiety, any physical conditions, whatever, please contact me and let's have a conversation, because
definitely, I do recommend that.
You know, and the process that I use, because it's uncovering your limiting beliefs, it's just so fast as well. It's not, we don't just talk about the issue, we actually get to the root cause and get rid of it, basically.
That's
and it's all these old beliefs that are holding you back. Even if you're consciously talking and you know you might go, oh yeah, Kerry, you know that you're fantastic, and you go, yeah, and I am. But if your root belief is you're not,
then you're going to believe that
straight back, doesn't it?
Yeah. And well, I mean, yeah, I totally agree. That's massive. It's massive, and I think everybody must have something like that in their lives in one way or another. You know, I think, yeah, definitely anyone that's got mental health problems or anything like that, please contact Julie. Any of the girls that you know that's listening to this know me. Julie is absolutely amazing person, great to talk to, and I highly recommend.
Oh, thank you, darling. And likewise, contact Kerry, and I'll get Kerry to send me some links after this anyway, and I will put it on when I post this video out on Instagram, but also when we post it out on YouTube as well. We'll make sure that everyone can just click into it at any time. But anyway, darling, we need to finish now because we have 50 minutes. I told you.
Time goes fast, doesn't it? We can have a chat.
She said, how long is it for? I went, well, minimum of 20, but trust me, it'll be longer.
I know.
But thank you so much, darling, for being an amazing guest on my Become Unstoppable series.
No worries.
I look forward to catching up with you soon.
Perfect. Thank you very much for having me. You take care, Julie.
Thanks, everyone, for listening. And anyone who watches this on video as well, thank you for watching it. But do watch it and do take note and contact us. So thanks, everyone. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.